Welcome, everyone, to another episode of the Adeptus Ridiculous Podcast. My name is DK Diamantes, his name is Bricky, and oh boy, grimdark. But before we get into that, if you enjoy today's episode and you maybe want to support us, head over to patreon.com/Adeptus Ridiculous, where you can get access to the Discord, bloopers if they happen. The $15 tier gets you access to all of our posters in digital format. And Shai said there's a new poster today, Bricky.
Okay, show me the poster.
All right, poster. I forgot that we had one, so this is as much a surprise to you as it is to me, bud.
The silence is deafening. Show the
poster.
Show the poster. Where's the poster?
Show the poster, Shai. Where's the poster? Poster. Where's the Shai poster?
She says it's loading.
This is loading. Embed failure.
Lander.
Ooh, right.
Oh
I remember
God.
this. Yes. Oh, this is so good.
Oh,
I forgot all about this. Tell him how you feel about it, Bricky. Tell him how you feel about it.
I say one statement about the Venom Crawler's dumpy, and next thing you know, there's a poster made.
Oh, and what a dumpy it is. Oh, brilliant.
Is this supposed to look like the spider chick from that one anime that has the monsters?
Oh, Monster Musume? I don't think so.
Okay. Maybe it's just because the Venom Crawler looks like a spider then.
Yeah, I think it's just Venom Crawler does give off very spider vibes, and obviously Monster Musume does have a spider waifu that wants to, implant eggs in your stomach and watch you explode into a nest of baby spiders. But yeah, probably.
I did not need to know that.
I don't know if that's actually how it goes, because unironically, I've never seen Monster Musume.
That is more shocking than the poster.
Yeah, probably. Coming from me, a man of true culture and intellect, yeah, that probably is more surprising. And taste, indeed.
Well, you know what? That poster is currently available. It is available at orchidate.com. Link in the description. You can snag this poster, and hopefully we will have the final poster of the year relatively soon, and then the final of the year will be complete, and all the posters will be around.
I am entering my credit card information as we speak,
and the 3 digits on the back.
The 3 wacky digits on the back. Yep.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
That's going on the wall, guaranteed.
All right. So, DK, what do you think today is going to be on?
So there's a part of me that when you say that, I want to just be a meme douchebag and just say the Badab War, because I've been beating that dead horse every chance I get with you. So is it?
Why do you think
War?
it's the Badab War?
I don't know.
Why?
Because you
said the Badab War.
I don't know. I don't. It's an intrusive thought that just won't go away. It was like, I think it was 2 episodes ago where you were just like, oh yeah, we're gonna do a big event, and in my head the first thing, it like a siren was just Badab War, and I've just been beating that horse to death. And it's just, it won't go away. So I had to. Especially when you said it so, like, dejectedly. Like, you knew exactly what I was going to say. And I was like, well, I can't disappoint Bricky, and I can't disappoint the people. Well, I mean, I do, but...
Shai, did you spoil him?
No! Is it actually?
Who spoiled him? Because it's like genuinely
Is it actually?
Because like I refuse to accept that it's just some epiphany of him.
It was just an epiphany I had.
I'm ignoring you, DK. This is a conversation between me and Shai right now. What happened? Because it's like unfair. We give him the most like milk bread fucking quotes, and he can't get them. And just like through the realms of Zinch, he knows the next damn topic.
Through the warp spoke to me.
What sorcerous power has caused this?
Finally, let's. Also, did you said we give you the most milk bread quotes? Isn't it milk? Isn't it like milk toast?
It's milk toast, but I watched the video of like people making those Japanese milk bread. It's really squishy, and I was like,
oh, those look so good too. I've seen those milk. Oh my god,
they're really good. Yeah, it's the Badab War. Fuck you.
There was a part of me that thought it might be just because I was like, man, Bricky seems really kind of like, why do you keep saying? I was like, it's like I hit a nerve or something. Like, what's going on?
I think just because I think maybe I myself assumed that I maybe accidentally spoiled you and I didn't want to do that, but now that I know I never did, and it's just
was nothing you said.
Yeah, we're doing the Badab War. Yay!
Let's go.
This is part one of a part 1 through 7 possible parts. I have no idea how long it'll be. My guess is like 3 to 4 parts of the Badab War. And you know, the Siege of Vrax was a pretty fun one, despite the enormous human toll of violence. This one, the Badab War definitely spans larger than the Siege of Vrax. Vrax takes place on a planet for the most part, whereas the Badab War takes place in a significantly larger amount of space. This is a lovely story about administration, bureaucracy, political tension, and the greatest example that the Imperium survives, not thanks to the horrible things it does, but in spite of them.
In spite of them. I was going to say, this sounds like just classic ecclesiarchy, administratum failures.
Ironically, very little ecclesiarchal failures. Ridiculous amounts of piety actually takes less of a factor, at least in the beginning of this, than you would expect. So
okay.
We'll see how this goes. So anyway, the Badab War takes place out in an area of space known as the Maelstrom. This is not the Eye of Terror. This is a smaller Eye of Terror, a tinier one, far closer to the galactic core of the galaxy. Also, do any of those names remind you of anything?
The Great Legion sounds like something that Nurgle would be a big fan of.
Not quite. There's 20% chance so far.
Helix Beta, just because
okay, so it's Hell's Iris.
Oh, I wasn't even thinking about that.
Okay, Hell's Iris.
That just sounded like a normal thing in 40K.
Hell's Iris is the Chaos port city that the Night Lords go to in the second book, in which
is it? Okay.
It's where Septimus and Maruk find a pregnant lady and they capture her to make her into a Night Lord, or make her kid into a Night Lord, because this is chaos and they're awful people.
All right, cool. I'm terrible with names in 40K. It is so bad how often I forget names and places, but once you tell me what event happened there, it's like, oh, gotcha. And it all just dawns on me again. So yeah.
Yes, that is Hell's Iris. They go there to refuel and recharge and repair after all the shenanigans of the beginning of the second book. But
right.
So the Maelstrom is another rip in reality, like the Eye of Terror, but just not as substantial and a little closer toward the galactic core, where the other one is by Cadia, which is like the southwest. If you look at the general map.
Oh yeah.
The Maelstrom has recently had a lot more attacks coming from it. More and more keep coming from the Maelstrom area, whether it's orc raids, Drukhari, slave taking, or just classic chaos shenanigans. The Maelstrom Zone is getting kind of hit a lot.
Okay. But before we move on, was the Maelstrom, did that pop open because of what happened at the Eye of Terror, or is this just another little blip, another little just rip? It's just its own thing, or did the crack across the galaxy cause this?
It's independent. It's its own little thing.
Okay, cool.
But near the Maelstrom, and this is a map I would like to present because it'll be the easiest to understand.
Okay.
For the most part, you can see there is something known as the Maelstrom Zone. And this is a general map of the Maelstrom Zone. You have the Maelstrom border in the top right, and then heading back into the general galactic arm and interstellar drift on the bottom left. And then everything in the center is generally known as the Maelstrom Zone. You can see the Badab sector in the center.
Yeah, I was going to say, there's the
Hailstars.
Badab. This is going to be an awful war, isn't it? This is going to be terrible.
Chimerian Drift, the Edelman Cluster, etc. And if you zoom in to the top right, you'll see a lot more of the specifics going on there. You see Death World, Orc infestation.
Yeah, Feral World, Lost Frontier World, sure.
Things get worse the closer you get to the actual Maelstrom Zone.
Yeah, I was going to say, that is not a happy, fun place to be, that Maelstrom border.
Yeah, no, the Maelstrom Zone is a terrible place. The warp is already bad, but there it's specifically a violent and turbulent warp storm, meaning it's very difficult to traverse. And it's so in a sense like hundreds and hundreds of systems all in that area that have either been unexplored outside of a couple of Imperial worlds you see dotted there on the map.
Yeah. Oh, Angstrom is a Forge world that's really close to that border. Like, yeesh. Like, they must get a lot of attention.
Access restricted, it says.
Yeah, like that thing must be a target all the time.
There's also like Sacristan on the top, which is a frontier world.
Yeah.
I think there should be a there it is. Sverengard is a fortress world up below the Endymion cluster, and then so on and so forth.
Yeah.
So
that's a great map. That's a great picture.
Yeah, it really kind of shows off what you're trying to, like, all the specific stuff you're trying to look at.
Mm-hmm.
Anyway, so this whole zone is just awful. It's terrible to traverse because the warp is constantly roiling and all kinds of problems. A lot of the worlds here have actually been expelled from the galactic core itself through some, interstellar means, and therefore are extremely valuable. As we know, the Votan spent a lot of... This is also pre-Votan, so they're not going to be in our story.
Right.
Despite them mostly taking place in the galactic core.
Yeah, right where the squat should be, but oh, hey, they got wiped out. Haha, orcs and elves killed them.
Yeah, the pre-Votan resurgence. But a lot of these planets that have been expelled are extraordinarily valuable because they have got rich minerals and all kinds of stuff.
Yeah.
So it is a port for all manner of horrible things. Like I said, orcs, Drukhari, Chaos especially.
Mm-hmm.
So there was a Imperial key world here known as Cygnax, Cygnax. I actually can't seem to find it on the map, though.
Yeah, I was just loading the map back up because I'd closed. I was like, where is it? Where's Cygnax? Where is it?
I actually, oh, there it is. Top left. Way top left.
Oh, yeah. Oh, wow. A dead world?
Don't read that part.
Hive world? Okay. Hey, so, like, I was figuring if this was, like, the one that they were going to go after, it would be, like, right in the middle. Because then it'd be like, oh, wow, all that chaos stuff would be like, oh, we're coming down to get you. And it's like, no, not our fortress and frontier world, too, along with Cygnax. And then it would be like they would just meet in the middle, because also Badab's in the middle. So at some point, everybody's probably going to meet there and just...
Well, that's why I should have pointed it out, because it said Dead World. That kind of spoils us a little bit.
A little bit, but I'm dumb enough that we'll roll with it.
Basically, it was an Imperial key world and a general safe port through the Maelstrom sector, this Maelstrom Zone. And it unfortunately had a massive Chaos cultist insurrection.
Ooh.
Huge Chaos crap all happened on the world. And eventually, with a suicidal charge, they ended up taking over and raining atomic and plasma warheads all over their own planet.
So Exterminatus Light.
Yeah, themselves.
Yeah.
So soon after that came permanent winter, radioactive fallout, changes in tectonic plates, and eventually all life on Cygnax was killed.
Just another day at the office in Warhammer 40k.
And, naturally, this did not reach the Adeptus Terra very quickly, as administration down there has often been known to be quite slow. But
I was going to say Administratum is quite slow in general with, millions of planets all feeding information. It probably takes forever to get that news.
Total side note, have you played the new Darktide mission where you need to protect the auto-scroller servitor when he's, writing on the parchment?
I don't think I have, actually.
It's pretty great. It's literally just a servitor with a bunch of quills writing, really fast on a long string of parchment. You gotta protect him. It's great.
Fair. All right.
But with Signax's death, the throes of everything around Signax kind of began to die out. In about a year, in 1 year about, the amount of space equal to a full month and a half journey was removed from the Imperium's grasp. So slowly with the death of that world, more orcs, more Drukhari, more chaos raids, vital supply chains were threatened, and that then, once the taxman realized that there was an issue, is when Terra began to act.
Right, of course. It's only when you mess with their money do they start to understand. So,
the several Space Marine chapters were then posted in the area to protect the Imperium's interests. The Astral Claws chapter were senior in the role of commanding the new Maelstrom Warders. That's what the new thing is, the Maelstrom Warders. As well as a few other chapters known as the Charnel Guard, Mantis Warriors, and the Lamenters.
Oh no, the Lamenters are here?
You betcha.
Oh yeah, things are going to go south real quickly. Yeesh. Also, you said warders? Is that like the war borders? Is that what they're going for? Warders?
More like a warden. They're warding off. They're Maelstrom Warders.
Okay, warders. I was like, is that like a border for a war they're planning? Like, oh, here's the no war past the warder, or I don't know. I don't know what I thought.
No, it's a weird way to say it. Maelstrom Wardens would have been a lot cooler sounding.
Yeah, it would have. Yeah, it's because I was staring at the Maelstrom border picture, like in the top right where it says Maelstrom border. I was like, border, warder. Yeah.
So immediately after deployment, Astral Claws being the main commanding chapter as well as the other three, they surrounded a lot of the areas in the Maelstrom Zone, gained a position, and slowly, with pretty great work, wealth started to go back to Terra. The Imperial tithe continued. Because, you know the Imperial tithe, right?
Sure. You gotta give... Yeah, you gotta give resources, people to Holy Terra, right? You gotta make sure they're well stocked and they got troops, and because boy, do the guards sure die a lot because we just throw them at people.
Generally, every single planet in the Imperium is required to give to the Imperial tithe. If they cannot make it with money, they make it in resources. If they can't make it in resources, they make it in tech. And if they can't make it in tech, most likely they will make it in human life. In fact, I believe every world has a requirement of human life, with the exception of the fortress worlds of Mars. And I guess I got Night World, but even then you're still getting knights, so it's kind of the same.
Yeah, that's true. I guess Mars wouldn't have that because they probably pay their tithe in many other great ways with all the crazy shenanigans that they give to Terra and all the technology and all the yeah.
That's why Shai makes a great point. It's the only request made of a planetary governor. Yeah, being a planetary governor is a lot like being a rogue trader, where you often you actually have a kind of unfathomable amount of freedom. You stay on your planet, of course, but living on an entire planet, you won't get bored. At least not easily, unless your planet just sucks. And a lot of times planetary governors, especially those in the Chimaran drift area, will get fat on luxuries and resources because they're, a planetary governor is more than a political position. It's very often it's an aristocracy. It's a familial, it's a lineage. Oh my God, look at that.
Oh yeah.
I love John Blanche.
Yeah, well, as soon as you said that, and as soon as Shai posted that picture, I was like, yeah, it's probably like a lot of these planetary governors have got to be just corrupt and awful and terrible because it's like nobody cares. Hey, we're delivering our tithes, so what does it matter that I'm literally a tyrant to my people? It doesn't. I still give you tithes. Everything's still cool. GG's, and they're just left to their own devices. And that's probably generational corruption because the kid that takes over is like, oh yeah, I'll just do it like dad did because, hey, he was fat and greedy on power. Why not me too? Seems to work. Nobody cares. La-di-da.
The only, I mean, you're basically hitting it perfectly on the head. The only main thing you have to fear is the Imperium itself. And so long as you give them enough men, give them enough resources, old Uncle Taxman, the Terra will not come taking your dues. I mean, I guess the only thing you could also fear, as we know with the Eisenhorn book, you can fear the Inquisition if they think you're being a little too sus with your dealings.
Yeah, if you're maybe being heretical, that's a different story. I'm sure the Imperium will look aside some tyrannical behavior because you're giving them tithes, but heresy, yeah, no.
There is thousands of stories of planetary governors who were some of the worst and most awful people ever over like 5 centuries of rule, but they constantly met quotas. And so the Imperium was like, cool, keep your concubines, keep whipping slaves, do whatever the fuck you want. Thanks for the 50,000 men every 10 years and massive stockpiles of adamantium. Bye.
I was like, yeah, there are probably so many like planetary governors that literally have just turned the planet into a slave world. And the Imperium's just like, but they give good resources, so let them do it.
And also, it comes to the point why so many worlds can end up going under. Signax was destroyed by a chaos cult within. I am reading the same kind of like Imperial Armory version of the I should have mentioned this earlier. I'm reading the Imperial Armory version of the Badab War. So much like the Siege of Vrax, this is the condensed, and by condensed I mean extraordinarily condensed version. So I will not have the like 5 books worth of the Badab War of information that some of our viewers probably have read. So I will not have it perfect. That being said, it would not surprise me if Signax was killed by the Chaos Insurrection because of massive heretical dealings via the ruling class.
Well, now that you say that, it's like, well, it's got to be a rather common thing for one of these planets to fall to chaos just because, like, when your planetary governor is that corrupt, they're treating you as, essentially they're treating you like a slave, and they're just constantly beating you, and they probably don't feed you enough, but, the Imperium doesn't care about us because, they're getting the tithe. It's probably really easy to fall to that little whisper of chaos in your ear that's like, hey, we can help you take this guy out. The Imperium doesn't care about you. Humans don't care about you. What have you got to lose? It's probably really easy to fall to chaos and be like, sure, uprising of chaos. It's way better than what I've got to deal with now because now I'm basically a slave.
Very minor, light, middle of the book spoilers for Eisenhorn. One of the ruling families on the planet dealt with alien artifacts because it increased their agricultural produce. They were fine with alien artifacts because it served them and their money. Yep. And that right there is a big no-no.
Yeah, a big no-no. That is a heretical no-no.
But yeah, I mean, for the most part, unless you're doing something that the Inquisition takes notice of, you are, at the end of the day, allowed to do whatever you want so long as you meet the Imperial tithe. And even like a planet like Signax, when it died, it took forever to reach the Department of Holy Terra. Much like in the Leviathan sequence, when slowly various worlds were being destroyed by the Tyrant, just going silent, it was probably filed away in the wrong hall with the wrong scroll of parchment, and nobody noticed because 1 million worlds and they don't have Microsoft Excel.
Yeah, they probably only noticed it's like, hey, we didn't get any tithes. There are less tithes today. What happened? Synax. And then someone investigated, and they're like, why is Synax a smoldering crater?
Very much exactly that. So anyway, to get us back on track, eventually the Astral Claws and all of the Maelstrom Warders were able to get the wealth to flow back. Get the tithes back, get the money back. But immediately after this, their momentum was stopped dead in its tracks when the Charnel Guard chapter was removed and requisitioned by the Adeptus Terra. And the High Lords needed them somewhere else. So took them and sent them somewhere else, having them lose a quarter of their troops. When reinforcements were requested from Terra, they were subsequently denied.
Oh boy, that's brutal. Eesh.
Then, to make matters worse, a Space Hulk decided to appear somewhere in the space called the Unhallowed Heart, which I'm not gonna lie, sounds exactly like the name of a Space Hulk that was in the Arcs of Omen books.
Well, I don't know about that because I haven't read the Arcs of Omen and I don't remember. But I was gonna say Unhallowed Heart. I was like, if that's all you told me, like, yeah, it's something from 40K, I would immediately be like, yeah, it's a Space Hulk. That has to be, because that's exactly how you get a Space Hulk. Is the warp just kind of hollows it out and puts a bunch of in it.
That or just some like flagship Chaos vessel.
Yeah. Definitely. Probably not an Imperium ship, the Unhallowed Heart. Probably not a Loyalist ship.
God, that image I posted, it's so insane, the scale of these Space Hulks.
Okay, I thought that was a debris field when I first looked at the thumbnail. I thought it was a ship looking at like an asteroid field or something.
No.
Yikes, that's the ship.
Space Hulks are literally just a you turned on no clip. and then you just shoved cities and ships together into one mass.
That picture is insane. Literally thought that was an asteroid field.
But anyway, the Unhallowed Heart Space Hulk arrived after they lost the quarter of their troops and decided to completely lay waste to all of these outposts and planets around here. It was a demon-infested ship, and it was literally pushing out mental paranoia and causing mass suicides, riots, and hysteria on all planets it orbited. Finally, though,
God. Just from orbiting a planet?
Just from being near it, the entire populace would either just start killing themselves or committing mass hysteria to riots and awful stuff.
Oh, and that's before the demons actually make landfall. Great.
Good stuff.
Good stuff.
Finally, and let me make this clear, I am underselling this massively, but the Lamenters were able to destroy the Space Hulk with the loss of 300 of their Space Marines and 4 of their strike vessels. It is one of the first major death blows dealt to the Lamenters chapter.
I was gonna say that sounds so Lamenters, where it's like, hooray, we beat the Space Hulk, but all of our forces are dead too. So lament us, please.
And then the Inquisition, the Ordo Malleus, then began to berate them for not killing it faster.
Oh my God! Why can't the Lamenters ever have anything nice? I mean, I get it. That's their thing. They're Lamenters, but for not killing it fast enough, huh? When they took away the reinforcements.
Yep. You love to hear it.
Oh,
did you ever watch Get Smart? Like the old one?
No, I didn't.
There's a particular episode where the main guy kills or saves the tax man's life multiple times, and he's like, "Well, sir, you could have killed this man with only 1 bullet, and yet you spent 5. Yeah, it's gonna come out of your paycheck." The guy gets back up and he shoots him twice more, and he's like, 7 bullets.
7 bullets out of the paycheck, buddy. You're gonna pay for those bullets.
That's basically how this feels like. But
oh man, should have strangled him.
So with this, the Astral Claws then went against their original kind of Space Marine doctrine and was like, okay, we're low on people. We're gonna take the fight to them and try to stifle this problem before it gets too bad by attacking orc raids pretty deep in Maelstrom space. This did deal a pretty solid blow to the orcs, but the Astral Claw's chapter master was killed, and they were forced to retreat after dealing with the orcs.
Yeesh, that is a heavy blow. Losing your chapter master?
Yes.
Yikes.
So they needed to appoint a new one. And they appointed one by popular demand and popular decision by their peers, a very strong and up-and-coming space marine known as Lufgt Huron.
Uh-oh. I know that name. That's not... Oh, no.
Yeah, you do.
This does not end well, does it?
You know a Huron, don't you?
Yeah. So, oh no. I think it's click. Okay. All right. No, I don't want to say what I'm thinking, but yeah. Okay. Yep. All right.
I mean, knowing the outcome is almost more exciting because it's the question of how did we get here.
Yeah, because when she said, "Oh yeah, Hell's Iris," that's where in the book, that's where they stopped off to get the stuff, and I was like, "Oh yeah, wasn't there a group there too? Wasn't there a group that they were getting helped by?" And I was like, "Uh-oh." It like the light just clicked, and uh-oh.
A Huron something or another.
Yeah, something about I don't know if like his heart was a little shaded, there's a little dark color to it. I don't know. I can't remember. I'm so bad with names.
So, though once elected as the new chapter master, he began to rebuild the fleet using Corsair prizes and raids. And he would then start to take out large portions of the raiding Xenos around the way, start rebuilding, and actually would begin to stockpile a pretty large amount of exterminatus weaponry as well in order to destroy renegade ships and other planets. Okay. Let's make this very clear right now. Huron is fully devoted to the Emperor. This guy
he is, yes.
Not chaos-tainted, nothing. He is straight up a model space marine right now.
Okay, but he's stockpiling exterminatus, which I guess, like, if you're a space marine and you are, well, a chapter master, and you are in this situation on the Maelstrom border, it probably does behoove you to have exterminatus level weapons so that you can just be like, oh yeah, it's an orc world. We'll blow it off the fucking map. I guess that's fair, actually, to have those kind of weapons here, and if you're Huron.
Yeah, Huron.
He's Huron.
So now we move over to the Badab sector. Badab Primaris, the main planet in Badab, obviously, decided that it was going to have a palace coup. This failed when the Astral Claws arrived to destroy the conflict. And they found out all of these kinds of crazy things going on with the coup. We're talking coup. Sorry, we're talking off-world raiders, smuggling rings, all kinds of crazy, corrupt individuals. And Huron, not the happiest man with this kind of stuff, as riots continue to flare up on the planet and cause all kinds of issues. So he remembered Signax. And he was like, we can't have that happen again. And so he decided to take it into his own hands to crush these issues, executing a massive majority of the ruling class and anyone who even really just appeared like a recidivist.
Ooh, boy. All right. Okay. I mean, he doesn't want Synax happening again because Synax was a big blow. So I guess you just go in with Hellfire and Brimstone to anything that looks like it might cause that again. Ooh, that's yikes.
He put it upon himself to make it Adeptus Astartes martial law. He became took the mantle of planetary ruler, styling himself as, quote, the Tyrant of Badab.
Oh boy, it begins, huh? It begins.
Hey, he claimed that the sector and his chapter was there to, quote, better protect these worlds and those souls that dwell upon them in the glory of the Emperor. Kind of like a little bit of a Gilliman thing. He liked he kind of wanted to style himself as that kind of planetary leader, like Gilliman did.
Sure. So how did the Imperium take that? Well, I guess the Imperium probably didn't know about this because it'd probably take forever to actually get through the Administarum that he had done anything. And I guess as long as he's still sending the tithe, they probably don't care that a Space Marine took over. So I guess it's kosher.
Oh, the Imperium said jack shit because they got their tithe back.
Well, yeah, I guess they pat on the back, send him a medal. Yeah, yeah, sure.
Oh yeah, and I mean, like he ruled this place. After this whole thing, he put a whole bunch of political allies into power and made the entire Badab sector basically his empire, ran by the Astral Claws and the Tyrant of Badab. He even had his own army of Imperial Guard he called the Tyrant's Legion, and would constantly go on the offensive and destroy other alien raiders. The Maelstrom Zone, highest productivity ever seen. Most tithes, most resources. He turned the place into a truly golden example of a functioning Imperium. Nothing quite beats Ultramar, but he was doing his damnedest.
Wow, so this was a very, very good thing. Like, I don't know why, but a part of me was like, oh, yeah, he just went in and killed a bunch of people and took over a planet. Oh, this sounds like the, first inkling of chaos. But actually, that's a great thing. He turned this place around. Good for him. Yeah.
This lasted 150 years.
Sheesh. Well, I guess in 40K, that's actually not that long.
I mean, it's still a little bit long for him to be tasked on this specific task for a century and a half. It's a while.
Yeah, okay.
So, there was like kind of fame here, the fame of the Astral Claws tyrant grew, reputation went higher, productivity went higher, pirate activity was curtailed. This massive defensive stance with all these watch bastions. He even made something called, I think it was the Ring of Iron or something, Ring of Steel, circling the inner spheres of the Badab Primarison region to just be an unpenetrable system. Things were going hot. Now, was life on Badab great? I don't really know. I mean, having a Space Marine lead you might be better than a planetary governor, but it depends on the Space Marine, and it depends on the governor.
I mean, it sounds like the place was pretty much a shithole before, so having a Space Marine there, I mean, you're well protected, and he's probably, I mean, from the way Huron sounds, at least it's going to be fair, if nothing else. So
more than anything, it was productive.
Yeah.
It was more than anything, the tithe remained, and all of that stayed well.
Okay. So,
spurred on by his major success, Huron took some servants to undertake a pilgrimage to deliver a formal petition to Terra. This was a massively detailed case about subduing the Maelstrom and the surrounding area, as well as the great benefits that the Imperium would get from it by actually taking Maelstrom space.
Okay.
So, in order to get this, it was a case for a huge deployment of Space Marine chapters to increase their ranks, suggesting even a brand new founding might need to be merited to meet the plan's needs.
Okay.
He was subsequently denied, as the Imperium requirements would be better spent elsewhere. He then asked for 2 other variants of this plan, both of which denied.
Yikes. Okay. It really do be beginning.
And so, because of this, we now lead into the Badab Schism, in which Huron, enraged by this decision by Terra, withheld all planetary tithes to the Administratum and blocked passage of trade through his realms.
Yep.
In a protest. DK, this is a protest, I tell you. His right to protest against the failure of Adeptus Terra.
Yeah, I mean, and hey, you got the right to protest, but you got to realize who you're protesting against here, pal, because that's the might of the Imperium is greater than your little area, I think. Oh boy, yep, yeah, okay. This is going to hell in a handbasket.
Well, it also had a double effect because now that Badab had completely cut off all forms of travel through it, it also meant that for the most part, a lot of the ore and refinement that came from other areas like the Pale Stars region in the southeast couldn't make it to other areas such as I always can pronounce this one, Chimeran Drift on the west. So with this sector, not only did he cut it off, but he took it for himself.
Oh boy. All right. That's not great.
He needed it, quote unquote, to fully maintain his army. That's when he created that extra. I got it wrong. The Ring of Steel was created from now, encircling the spheres of just space system defenses, hugely fortified palaces. He even made his legendary palace, the Palace of Thorns, on Badab Primaris, in order to have his ruling, spot there and all that jazz.
Yeah. Okay. All right.
So this is when we get into a significant amount of political controversy, because on one hand, the Adeptus Terra was, to put it lightly, fucking pissed.
I was gonna say they have to be so mad because this is a super profitable area. I mean, he made it super profitable, the most productive it's ever been, and then to just be like, nope, cutting it all off. And not only my Badab sector that's productive, the Chimeran Drift can't get you, the Pale Stars can't get you, the whole area is just cut off. And it's like, brother, I imagine they are sending the full might of the Emperor.
Well, that's the issue, though, is that on one hand, they're pissed about this. The Administratum and all of them and the Imperial tithe is needed. But on the other hand, this is millennia of a precedent being set that Adeptus Astartes commanders have the right to defend the Imperium by any means necessary. This was the Badab Schism, was the determination of them taking whatever they need to defend the Imperium and bolster their defenses versus what the Adeptus Terra is supposed to be getting. Because on one hand, Space Marines can do what they need, but on the other hand, like it's this weird political drama.
Oh. And you know what's crazy? They could have prevented all this from happening by just sending some reinforcements. That's all they had to do.
Well, you say that, but what if those reinforcements were taken because they were saving a planet from like a Tyranid infestation?
Yeah. Just take it from somewhere else. You've got plenty of Space Marines hanging around. It's fine. Don't worry about it.
Yeah, so Huron kind of given a shit job or shit deal. He did a great job with everything. Asked for more resources, and he said absolutely no. And he's like, "Well, fine, then I'm going to use these resources instead." And then they're angry about it. So
yeah,
it became this big annoying back and forth.
Yeah, I mean, I get why he's so pissed and why he would do all this. But boy, I mean, that takes balls to do when you know what you're up against. But hey, you gotta do what you gotta do.
So this particularly had this very difficult back and forth. And also at the same time, despite this being a problem, it was also ironically not super high on Adeptus Terra's list of priorities, because they're just, High Fleet Behemoth is over there.
Yeah. Like, as soon as you said that, I was like, yeah, that makes sense. Because, like, not that this isn't a problem and not that this isn't something that needs their attention, but when you've got Chaos looming, when you've got the Tyranids looming, when you have just all these other, like, galactic problems, this is an issue, but it's probably not, like, the highest, yeah. I get that.
This political thing took a long ass time.
Wow.
And because of this, those in the Cathargo, the
names.
They're the Cathargo sector is basically what it's called. You see the Chimeran Drift to the left of that, top left.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, it does look like Cathargo. Yeah.
Yeah, so the Cathargo sector has been there for 11 centuries. And those people that Shai posted earlier, those planetary governors, that's basically them. They are big, like decadent, fat. Yeah. Like,
they're
pretty much just
corrupt.
Grown fat on the backs of their people, both physically and literally, and metaphorically.
That could never happen in the real world, right? That would never. Could never happen in our world? Never. What a parody.
I love irony. They have been cut off from all of their, the stuff from the Pale Stars and the things because of the Badab sectors, like Ring of Steel, like cutting off all the warp transit.
Yeah.
And so these big planetary governors are extremely upset that their tithes of money and women have dried up.
Oh no, what are they gonna do?
So they wrote strongly worded letters. I'm all tongue-tied.
They wrote
today.
it on leather.
No, they probably wrote it on parchment.
Yeah, well.
But they were very upset with all of this, while the Astral Claws, after taking all these resources for 150 years, got to a pretty hefty fighting strength and were freed from the weight of garrison duty, moving into dealing with all kinds of other stuff. There is a ton of uprisings and random crap going on in the Maelstrom sector, Maelstrom Zone, not even related to them. And they're heading their way out and they are taking it all. There's mine, crush a Chaos Rebellion here, destroy an Orc war boss here. Really, like, he's making his own Ultramar.
Oh, good for him. Good for him. Hey, if the Imperium won't help me, I'll do it myself. Sure.
Yeah, it's good. And I mean, at this point, with the gathering of Imperial forces, Huron had the Astral Claws, Firehawks, White Scars, Celestian Guard, along with Krieg and Kolsek Imperial Guard regiments, and a Titan Legion. He was a extremely powerful commander. But there's a gentleman named Stybor Lazaric, the chapter master of the Firehawks. I know, it's a pretty crazy one. Chapter master of the Firehawks. And he was not given command of this campaign over Huron during this period of time, which made him a little pissy, because there are a few things that make a Space Marine more pissy than someone else getting to do all the glory.
Oh, that's fair. Yeah, okay.
This kind of started to create a little bit of a grudge. As time went on, we're now in like 869 M41, there was a Black Templar crusade also occurring in the Maelstrom, because the Black Templars just really like that shit.
Of course. Ooh, Firehawk armor is real cool.
Yeah, it's not bad. I think we covered the Firehawks in the Legion of the Damned episode.
Okay.
That was like the retconned lore thing about the Ghost Rider Space Marines and all that jazz.
Oh, right, okay. That might be them. Yeah, because the fire and gotcha.
So this, like, Huron's pushing. We're talking taking out like side Xenos, and they call it, like, there are these things called the subhuman flesh haunters of the Howling Gyre. Just like, whoa, all the crazy like side Xenos that we just don't ever know about, you know?
Yeah.
There's all kinds of crazy abominations back there attacking the Imperium since before the Age of Apostasy. Great victories. Like Huron, I need to make this clear. This guy is crusading. He is hitting it. He is making this place like a real fortress.
Wow.
And again, all under the worship of the Emperor.
even though they refuse to give him any support and he's kind of cut off a lot of their supply lines, he's still just like, oh yeah, for the Emperor, let's make this place a little galactic fortress for us, even though screw the Administratum, I guess.
Calling the Administratum corrupt is heresy if you're a human. Calling it corrupt is a daily ritual if you're a space marine.
It's fair, because they probably denied your request for whatever you needed.
Yeah, also, they just, it's bureaucracy.
Suck. Yeah.
So, with this, as they're pushing through and going through all these kinds of usual stuff, then the Black Templars were, once again, taken away by the Adeptus Terra and gone to go deal with the wake of a Tyranid war. So, after having substantial losses in the campaign that Huron has been going forward and dealing with, immediately having the Black Templar pull out and some spooky readings from the Adeptus Terra about impending doom had them have to withdraw their massive advance through the Maelstrom Zone, much to Huron's dismay.
Displeasure, yeah.
This only started getting worse because as he had to pull back, the orcs arrived, and they were just having a grand old time. More orc was started coming around from the area. More ghastly ships of chaos started arriving. The moment the Black Templars pull out, they have to halt their advance, and then enemies start arriving, because you love to hear it.
Oh, yeah, you love to see it. You love to see a wad just come on through and just start going crazy. Yeah, sure, why not? Yeah.
So, during this time, this is when the administration finally decided to act. Finally, after 150 years of dealing with the Badab schism, they decided that, okay, we're going to send a fleet. We're going to send a fleet and see what the hell's going on.
Okay.
So, this was by an Administratum General with an Adeptus Mechanicus Biologus, some lords of the Gathargo sector as well, who are pretty pissed off, and at least one Inquisitor as well. It was a solid fleet. Huge mass conveyors expecting to receive the ties that they no longer were giving them. Cult Mechanicus, Locus Caravel, Escort Craft, etc.
Okay.
Don't really know exactly what happened. But they tried to force their way through the Ring of Steel.
Oh, no. Oh, that's a bad move.
Yeah, so you don't really know exactly what was said, but not one ship survived, and 20,000 servants of the Imperium were killed.
Oh boy, I was gonna say, the only thing they found was, suddenly there was a new asteroid field in the area, and we just don't know where it came from. Are there bodies in it? No, that's just astral debris. Don't worry about it. Yeah, it's about what I thought might happen.
Yeah, that's a good point. Huron had an explanation. Pirates did it.
Is that really what he said back? Huron, we sent a fleet. What happened to them? I don't know. They never got here. I guess pirates got. Is that really what he sent back as a response?
Let's see. We have a wonderful communications fragment right here. Let's see here. Fragment begins. Badab Defense Control. Tide Fleet VX542-11. This is your final warning. Decrease thruster burn and head and heave to the designated approach. You will be fired upon. Ident Administratum Bark Quais Lambda. This investigation deputation carries the seals of the Adeptus Terra. It is you who will comply. Make obeisance, and stand down your weapons immediately in the name of him on Terra. Badab Defense Control. Damn you, obey. I don't care if you're carrying St. Leor's bones. No vessel enters the Ring of Steel without first submitting to inquiry and piloting. This is the Maelstrom Zone, not some safe haven quill pushers enclave. Static interrupts. Box distortion consistent with high energy weapons fire. Unconfirmed source, likely a Badab system defense frigate. Heavy damage sustained to port engines. Decks 7 through 11 open to void. Casualties high. Assailants unidentified. 18 plus vessels now burning. Primary quadrant autonomous battle systems registering full activation. Omega locks disengaged. 4,000 assassin mines awakening. Gargoyle platforms Anima and Epsilon reaching terminal power. By the Tyrant shall be attempt abort. Confirm. Confirm. Fragment ends.
Oh boy. All right. All right. Well, I mean, that's what happens.
It's like, back the fuck up. No. Welp.
So is it what was it? Safe haven quill pushing, whatever. I was like, damn.
Safe haven quill pushers enclave.
Love it. You love to hear it. But yeah, it was probably pirates.
So, they tried again. Didn't work great. And so, after the constant threats of not just the Adeptus Terra, but also the fat, I say fat, I don't mean to be mean to anyone, to be fat phobic, but I say fat in a assholey greedy way.
Yeah, they're like fat with greed and hubris and political tyranny and
that kind of stuff. The fat governors of the Cathargos sector all together, constantly sending threats and issues against Badab sector and Huron. Huron's answer to these threats was to announce and produce his infamous Articles of Just Secession.
Oh boy. All right.
These articles were delivered to the authorities and said many and grievous insults, presumptions, and denials of the emperor given rights and titles of the Adeptus Astartes by the false and wayward servants of the Administratum and the Carthan lords and their allies. They were. These documents were stated the refusal to hand over the tithes of local settlement authorities, aid or defend any attempt to do so, or recognize the demands of the Carthan lords. That being said, they do still say they will serve the emperor. We are seceding because the people here are corrupt dickheads, and we're way better at it.
I mean, they're right. I guess it doesn't surprise me that they're still willing to serve the emperor, right? Because the emperor didn't do anything wrong to them. It's these damn politicians. It's these damn administratum. It's these damn planetary governors that are so fat with power and greed and corruption that screw them, but still praise the emperor, right?
But it's like I said, hating on the Administratum is heresy unless you're a Marine. Then it's just classic.
Yeah. You would think they would learn at some point that maybe we should stop dunking on the Space Marines. Like, they're our holy fighting force. Like, maybe we should, we should have a little respect. So, the Carthans, extremely pissed by this and losing their grip on power and their high decadent position, threatened all-out war in response, but threatened it and had no means to do so alone. They had plenty of planetary defense forces and guardsmen and all that, but you really can't fight Space Marines except with other Space Marines. Yeah, I was gonna say, let's even say they had a platoon of Space Marines. This is Badab. Like, they've got the iron ring around it. What are you gonna do? You need a fleet. You need an army at this point to get into Badab and do anything about what Huron's going on, right? Or what he's got going on.
Exactly. And so the Carthans petitioned a few people. The sub-commander at the Forge World of Ryza, which flatly refused them and said this is an internal dispute. We will not interfere.
Nice.
Local inquisitorial representatives as well, which kept an eye on the situation, but it was a squabble that was not particularly uncommon from Imperial commanders. We've seen this in Gaunt's Ghosts. Imperial commanders love to fight each other and argue.
Yep.
Especially in border regions. And there was no evidence of taint or heresy at all.
Yeah. Yep.
So only one group responded. And those were the Firehawks, who already had a grudge against Huron and his men.
Okay. All right. Man, yeah, I got to imagine everybody was just like, you want us to help you fight who? Nope. Not doing it. Yeah, this is your problem. You did this. Nope.
So the Firehawks, aiding along with the Carthans, right? Sorry, the Carthans eventually made their way with their ships and fleet and were invited to enact judgment, I suppose is the best way to describe it.
All right.
They took a particular vessel, one called the Red Harbinger, entered a cluster of ancient stars and all that kind of jazz, and had them sent towards Huron and his giant ring of everything. I guess not Huron. This was the Mantis Warriors.
Wait, so they just had one Firehawk cruiser, the Red Harbinger, and that's what they sent to
No,
take over?
No, not like that. It was more they were operating on their own time, and then the Mantis Warriors specifically went to intercept.
Oh, okay. Gotcha.
The Mantis Warriors intercepted, and after some back and forth refusals and threats, they opened fire, and full-scale conflict happened in which the Mantis Warriors then boarded and captured the Red Harbinger, and taking roughly 20 or so Firehawks captured.
Yeah.
Upon learning of this, the taking of the Red Harbinger, the chapter master of the Firehawks chapter became pretty pissed. Withdrew all operations from every single Firehawk zone and made course with the entire chapter towards Badab.
Ah, okay. So now we've got a full chapter of Space Marines heading to Badab. All the Firehawks are coming in because of what happened with the Red Harbinger.
And that signifies the first beginning of Astartes versus Astartes of the Badab War.
Ooh.
And that's probably where we're going to end it for today.
Okay, things are cooking.
Things are cooking. It is a slow increase of just political crap.
Yep, and that's what led to everything. It is just like political nonsense, administratum failings, refusing to give anything to Huron, who has already done so much for you and probably done more than you could have ever asked of him to do, and then the flat-out refusal to send him. It's like, you are my brother in Christ. You are causing your own problems.
We all know that Huron eventually goes towards chaos. We all know
Huron
that.
Blackheart. We all read the book. Yeah, I know.
But at the same time, it's one of the classic cases of why there are so many human chaos followers. One, because they're easily manipulated. But two, because God, when you push him so far, that jump of renegade and secession, that jump from that to the dark gods is a much shorter jump.
Oh yeah, so many like fallings to chaos or people going heretical. You pushed him in that direction. You like, all they needed was just a little push. You know, all it takes is a little push and gravity, and like, man, it's crazy. Like they could have stopped this from happening.
I mean, it's what happens when, like, it happens in the real world all the time too. You know, you had the COVID pandemic, which was unprecedented times for everybody, and then for some people who were already maybe a little disenfranchised with life and political system, it's a pretty quick hop to next thing you know, it's spread by 5G networks, and now they're going on QAnon. Like, it's not a hard jump.
Yeah, it is.
So,
whew. And
then
I'm sure that happens a lot with chaos too, where it's just like, oh, it didn't take much. I mean, you had already, beaten them and broken them down and broken their spirit enough that, hey, all I had to do was one little whisper in their ear about giving them the power to change this. That's all it took. I didn't even have to do anything.
Yeah, that's it's and also, especially when it comes to emotions. Huron right now has some pretty big dreams right now, and he's taken over quite the area, so that push is getting there. But Marines versus Marines is happening. That was the kind of the setup before the real bloodshed starts to happen.
Oh yeah, I am anxiously awaiting the next episode to see all of the Firehawks descending in, and yeah, I'm excited. Let's go, Badab War. Let's go,
Badab War.
Hell yeah.
Good luck, Huron. You're probably gonna need it.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
All right, everyone. Thanks so much for watching the podcast, watching and listening to the podcast. We will see you for the book club at the end of this week, but in particular, we will also see you next week for the next episode of the Badab War. Goodbye.
Yeah, sure. I wasn't sure if we were gonna leave it at that, or we're just gonna bam dab on him, you know? Ay, your mother.